Welcome back to pregame.tv. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined in studio with my partner in crime, Ken Thomson. Ken, I'm jacked up. We're taping Wednesday. It's like Christmas Eve. You know, you're waiting Christmas morning. Tomorrow, the college football season kicks off. For me, and it's going to date me, this will be my 34th college football season. I'm freaking old.
Wow. 34th college football season as far as what? Handicapping?
I've been in the business. It'll be my 34th.
God, Marco.
Yeah. 34 years.
In grade school, giving out plays.
Almost. But we're going to take a look at, get things started. Actually, a little early start tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We've got North Carolina, South Carolina. You know, you talk about drawing a tough assignment. North Carolina's got to go into South Carolina, number 7 ranked, 6-1 poll. The Gamecocks, you know, they come into this game. They've got 2 quarterbacks. Now, the old cliche is if you got 2 quarterbacks, that means you don't have any quarterbacks. But that's not the case here with South Carolina. They got 2 legitimate quarterbacks that either one of these guys could probably start on most college football teams. You've got Connor Shaw and Dylan Thompson for South Carolina. Shaw's got a little more experience, obviously. What's your take here heading into this one?
Well, you know, here's the thing. First off, you lose Marcus Lattimore, but their record without Lattimore in the lineup, 8-1. So very impressive. The old ball coach is still the old ball coach. He's still going to throw the visor every now and then if either quarterback doesn't do what he wants him to do. Dylan Thompson did bail him out in the bowl game against Michigan with a nice drive. Connor Shaw got banged up. Connor Shaw is more of the runner. He'll take off a little earlier than Dylan Thompson will. Thompson will run it if he has to, but he relies more on his arm. So I think you'll see them both in there, and again, both are solid. And I really think Thompson upped his stock as far as Spurrier in Spurrier's eyes with that performance down the stretch against Michigan. Yeah,
now I'll be honest. Early in the season, I like to usually try to find spots to go against these highly ranked teams because all we've heard about, you know, are the good teams. You know, everybody's talking about them. So public perception is going to always be on these public teams, and a team like South Carolina that had a great season last year and, you know, bringing back, you know, a good part of the team with expectations this season. The line generally seems to be a little bit inflated on these teams. But the one cause of concern I have with South Carolina, why I'm not ready to go full bore against them in this game, is it's almost like deja vu for them. They opened the season last year on Thursday night on ESPN. The only difference was they were on the road instead of at home, and they went to Vanderbilt. And I was on that game. I think you were on that game too, both on Vanderbilt. We got the easy cover, but Vanderbilt actually got hosed in that game. They should have won that game outright. There was a controversial interference call late in that game that, you know, really decided the game, or could have decided the game. And I think that almost getting upset last year out of the gate, which could have just totally derailed the season. You know, Spurrier's showed them the game films from last year's opening game over and over again this week.
Yeah, but here's the other thing is like South Carolina, because of the hit by Jadeveon Clowney in the bowl game against Michigan, and rightly so, the guy's highly touted as the best defensive player. People looking at a true defensive player winning the Heisman Trophy. Granted, that makes a lot of sense. But again, North Carolina is a pretty darn good team, and they're finally off probation. They can play postseason this year. Remember this, too. I like games, if I'm going to play a dog, where the kids know each other. A lot of these kids played against each other high school-wise. So North Carolina, they've got 7 starters back on defense as well, 6 on offense, and a veteran quarterback in Bryn Renner.
Yeah, you talk about a veteran quarterback. The last 2 seasons, Renner has thrown for 54 touchdowns. I mean, this offense has just been incredible. And the South Carolina defense, they're going to be tested here because North Carolina scored 30 or more points in 9 of 12 games last season. In South Carolina, that has been their strength. They held 8 of 13 opponents last year to 17 points or less. So you're going to have the North Carolina strength, which is their offense, going right into the strength of South Carolina, the defense. You know what? We kind of kicked this around. This is your free play. So for the first time in a regular season,
there it is.
Let's make it official, Ken.
No pressure. Very rarely do you ever go against an SEC team out of the gate, especially when they're on their home field. Now, Marco and I talked about both playing Vandy, but that was an SEC head-to-head matchup, and Vandy's got another one tomorrow night as well against Ole Miss. That'll be the later game following South Carolina at home against North Carolina. Tough spot for North Carolina as far as the offensive line. Only 2 of 5 starters back. But James Hurst, one of the best in the ACC, he'll draw the assignment of Jadeveon Clowney head-to-head. So although Clowney will take advantage of most offensive linemen, he won't have a field day with Hurst. Now, they did say they're going to move him around. He's that versatile. Also, there's speculation that Fedora will try to tire out Clowney, throw screen passes his way above him, let him come in. Renner, again, a veteran quarterback, does a lot of stuff from the shotgun. Now, they lose Giovanni Bernard, who goes to Cincinnati there in the NFL. That's tough. But you bring in a couple solid prospects. Ramor Morris, he's a guy that last year ran for only 386 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he's solid. And now A.J. Blue, who had more yardage, 433 yards last year, he's been cleared to play. Had a hamstring injury that was bugging him a little bit, but they said he's about 90%, and he will go tomorrow as well. 2 solid wideouts. Quinshaw Davis, 61 receptions last year, over 750 yards and 5 touchdowns. And then Sean Tapley, a lot is expected of him. How about tight end Eric Ebron? Ebron had 40 receptions last year, had 4 touchdowns. This year, Fedora said he expects him to get at least 12 touchdowns. So there are some offensive weapons for Bryn Renner to get the ball to. On the defensive side of the ball, the strength will be on the North Carolina defensive line, led by Kareem Martin, one of the best, and also Hughes, a linebacker, pretty solid as well. Both those guys first team All-ACC, according to Phil Steele. So I'll look there. Now, they are missing Sam Smiley, who's a pretty solid defensive back from last year. He is out for the year with a bad toe injury. On South Carolina's side of the ball, Rory Anderson, their starting tight end, he is out. He will miss. You'll see questionable right now. Injury reports, I have it. He will miss the game tomorrow. Also, Bruce Ellington, fine wide receiver. He's banged up. Even if he goes, they're saying he's about 75%. So depending how the game starts out, we'll see how much Ellington plays. Also, Cedric Cooper, linebacker, supposed to get in there, and he's actually one that actually has a couple starts in there. He will miss the game tomorrow, which means South Carolina comes in. As good as Clowney in the defensive line is for South Carolina, no game experience for any one of the starting linebackers for tomorrow's game. Not one of them have played a college game. That's huge right there. So that puts the pressure on the defensive line. Clowney coming off a shoulder injury, they say he's close to 100%. And again, that guy being the beast that he is, he could be 80% and be as good as anybody in the country. So again, advantage South Carolina. But again, I'm not looking at winning the game. I'm looking at plus 13. The line went from 11.5 today on Wednesday up to 13. That's what I got, plus 13 in this game. I'll be in the hot corner as well tomorrow in the Vegas Review-Journal. North Carolina plus 13. Again, tough to go against South Carolina. I think South Carolina probably wins a close game. I think this game's definitely inside a touchdown. That's my game right there on pregame.tv. I respect Connor Shaw and Dylan Thompson. Mike Davis, the running back, we'll see how solid he is. They say he looks good in practice for the Gamecocks. Again, you got to replace Lattimore. It's tough to do, but Davis will be adequate while they get it going. But they're going to rely on the defense, Marco. So my game is, of course, North Carolina plus the points. I'd rather take the points, even though it's on the road, hostile environment. Again, because a lot of these kids know each other, I feel a little familiarity. And I like Fedora. He's one of the better coaches.
Did a great job at Southern.
It's the Southern Miss, and we saw Ellis go in there last year, couldn't win a game, right. And now they've got Monken coming over, the offensive coordinator from Oklahoma State, to try and get things right again in Hattiesburg. But this guy, Fedora, the second year, wherever he goes, second year, his teams excel big time. 8-4 last year. I think they're better this year. I think they have an outstanding chance to win the ACC, to get to that championship game against Clemson, because I've got Clemson coming out of the other side.
Yeah, and you say 8-4 last year. Just to add the 4 losses, 3 of the 4 losses were by 5 points or less last year. So the key to the game is the defensive pressure that Clowney and company can put on Renner, because Renner, although he, like you said, he will be in the shotgun a lot of the game, he's not a scrambling quarterback. He's a pocket passer, more or less. We'll see if they come up maybe with some schemes where they kind of maybe roll him out a little bit away from the defensive pressure. But if they can negate that, North Carolina can stay in this one. I'm on the fence on this one. You got Ken's play. He says to take North Carolina plus the points, kicking it off. We're going to be right back. I'm going to be here with UNLV in Minnesota Thursday night. Yeah, I know Fez and the boys did that one, but they did the total. We're going to do the game, and I'm going to put my 3-0 record football video plays up. We'll see if we can keep that streak going. That's up next, pregame.tv.